Yo, is the mic on, Mike? Into that mic on, Mike, and pour us another one. Let's do it right though, Mike. We feeling nice though, Mike. Gather round, gather round. Into that mic on, Mike. Into that mic on, Mike. Yeah, Garage Drinks with Mike. Woo!
What are you drinking?
This is a seltzer. Do you know what a seltzer is?
Just like a soda?
No, it's
it alcoholic?
This is 7%, but it's
So like a cider?
like low in calorie.
Okay.
Low in calories.
Cheers.
Jennifer, welcome to the garage.
Kia ora.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a Saturday afternoon drink.
Tastes good. Tastes alright.
Yeah, really nice.
Gin and tonic, Bombay. Hey, it's so good to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
You didn't have any trouble finding your way out south?
No. Google Maps. It's not that I've come here often.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Google Maps, yeah, I'm totally fine.
Yeah, you don't come out south much.
Oh yeah, like I travel because I'm on location all over the place. So Mararewa, I was on for Creamery. Just depends on what show I'm on and where it's shooting. That's how I get to know Auckland.
Man, you do a lot of shows at the moment. You're a very, very busy lady.
As an intimacy coordinator, heaps. I was
Right.
doing 7 shows last month.
7
From
shows.
the opera to short film, to web series, to American drama series, to New Zealand drama series. It's
Big
crazy.
demand for it.
It's fantastic. It means that the production companies are taking on the work. And actors are it's a complete game changer for actors.
So for people that don't know about what an intimacy
Yeah.
coordinator is, do you want to break it down? Because I'm sure
Okay,
there's a
so
lot of interest in
essentially
it.
we put a professional process around an intimate scene, and an intimate scene could be anything from lovemaking or kissing or anything to bathing a frail elderly person,
Right.
changing a baby's nappy, giving birth, anything where you are in the intimate personal space of someone else or yourself. Nudity,
Right.
semi-nudity. And we break it down in the same way that you would a stunt. It's crazy that it hasn't been a thing ever,
Right.
apart from the last 5 years in the world and probably coming up for 3 years here.
Yeah.
And we break it down into its physical beats and its emotional beats, and then we put that all together, and what you get is the most beautiful narrative to an intimate moment that isn't just 2 actors getting through something, or 2 actors having to look after each other, or 2 actors being told, oh, just go for it, get on with it. I mean, if you had a stunt, and I said, okay, Michael, so I want you to just like kick him around the butt, and then you push him over, and then you just like slap face and then punch in the stomach. Okay, go. Like, you wouldn't want to do that because
No.
you could get hurt.
Yeah.
And in intimate scenes, people can get hurt psychologically and physically. So by putting that process, by having that third party there to make sure that consent is at the heart of everything you do, just can create the most beautiful connection between the actors. It means they can get on and do what they do best, which is acting.
Rather than having to worry about the other part of
Yeah,
either getting
yeah.
hurt or hurting,
Like, are you
hurting
like-
the other person.
Yeah, or like mostly between actors, it's always been like, well, are you okay with this? Or, yeah, I'm okay with this. And that's if you're experienced. But imagine if you've got an age imbalance, an experience imbalance, a power imbalance. Like, say, here's me with 40 years experience, and I'm working with someone with 3 years. Do you think he's going to say no to me? No, not really, because you want to be seen to being a good actor. We're so used to saying yes and doing anything, being willing, all of that stuff. And our mental health statistics in this country for actors are 4 times worse than the general population.
Wow. For actors.
For actors. And I believe one of the reasons is that we're dragging home the residue of our work. And if you have an unresolved thing that's happened on set, you did something you didn't feel good about, or you were particularly charged up from something, our bodies don't know that it's not happening to us when we do a scene. Perhaps a high, intensely emotional scene. I mean, you must have found that when you were like on Jonah and being like really strict father, you would have felt like a cellular change in yourself, right? There's an energy that you've brought around. But if we don't
Know how to switch
take
it
a
on and switch it
moment
off.
to tap out of that, we just can drag the residue of that home, and then people, medicate at the bar or whatever they want to do.
That's so true.
Yeah. So this is such a clean, beautiful process. And yes, it feels technical, but your ultimate at the beginning, but your ultimate goal is to make it the deepest, most creative storytelling you possibly can. So it's been a beautiful combination of my acting and directing and teaching skills, really, to bring into this role. And when I experienced it as an actor, I went, holy hell, where has this been all my life? Oh my God, I've just had the best intimate scene guided by someone else that I have ever had in my life. And I may as well have had a cup of tea with that person. That's how clean it felt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And when you go through a consent process, so you might have people with some boundaries. Everybody's got boundaries. So it could be simple as, you know, I'm fine being kissed on my neck. I just don't go anywhere near my collarbone. Fine. I don't need to know why. For me as an intimacy coordinator, I'm going to use all the positive yes space and create something really beautiful. I don't need to go to the no. It makes me more creative. You might get people who've worked together and they're playing lovers, but actually they've grown up like brother and sister.
Right.
And there's a weird dynamic when they have to do intimate things together. So how am I going to create some intimacy that doesn't bring up the kind of sting of intensely intimate romantic thought, but still reads as really incredibly intimate. So I love that. Yeah.
Just going to pause you for a second. I get paranoid sometimes.
Oh, that you weren't capturing it?
That everything's not plugged in. Recording.
Yeah, well, we've all done the interview where they ring up and say, hey.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, 3 times. You know that 2-hour interview we had?
Oh, mate, 2 hours.
My phone wasn't working.
The worst that happened to me was the first time I did it, and I learned very, very quickly after that. I did an interview with Kevin Mialamu.
Yes.
And went to thank him at the end and looked at the camera and the red light was off.
No.
And my heart dropped, but I didn't say anything to him because he's such a nice guy. Yeah. And I just said thank you.
You just had to let that one go.
Oh, well, I said thank you, and like in my mind I was like, how much is lost, and walked them out, and then saw Nora, and I told her, she was like, oh my God, okay, so we checked it together. So I'd lost like the last 40 minutes. Jennifer, Kevin is such a nice guy, because I see him every day at the gym.
Did he come back?
I just said to him, I explained to him the next week what happened. He just laughed. And he's like, oh, we'll have to do it again. Aww. And I was like, only if you want. And he was like, no, you tell me when, I'll come in.
Oh, that's so nice.
Came in. Yeah. But that's the one time it happened, but that was enough to teach me to always like flicker across, check the red light, always make sure that's working as well. That's the thing of running it self-done as well. Yeah. You know, you always, your brain's always on the equipment. Okay,
so kia tau.
But we're good.
Little light going on there. That's good.
I wanted to ask you, so how did you come across intimacy coordinators?
I have to take you back a little bit. 2015, so way before Me Too, we at the union had been very concerned about the stories we were hearing from actors about challenging experiences, from at the very least being challenging to the very worst being sexual assault for actors on set and rehearsals and auditions. And we just felt we had to do something, had to bring this out in the open, talk about it. So we pulled together a panel of actors from all levels of experience. I think Nicole Whippy was one, Fasitua was, maybe Tandy, Michael Hurst, maybe 2 others, which I facilitated. And we had a packed room of actors, from very young to very old. And what came up, and these actors on the panel were so candid, it was really beautiful, like telling us experiences that they'd had, which, you know, they felt they were still carrying around, the pain of it, they were still carrying around. Because people do, like, you know, your body knows when something bad happened. Like, you might not remember every show you've ever done or every scene you've ever shot, but you will remember if you were touched inappropriately.
It's traumatic.
So these actors talked about that, and then we said, you know, what do we need to do for actors? So we put together, out of that meeting came our guidelines for sex and nudity on stage and screen. Jump forward 2 years, Ita O'Brien, who since become my trainer and mentor, she is an intimacy coordinator in the UK, and has done work on shows like Normal People or The Great, Sex Education, Gentleman Jack, It's a Sin, I May Destroy You, all of those shows.
So they were already doing this overseas?
Yes. So only probably 2 years before. And she emailed me out of the blue and said, you don't know me, but this is my work here in the UK, and I've looked all over the world because I want to put some guidelines together, and Equity New Zealand is the only one that has anything that's speaking directly, to actors, in that it's not contract speak. You know, when we see clauses in contract, it doesn't really kind of talk to you, does it?
Don't read it.
You know, it's there. Well, exactly. We have to do that. But yeah. So she said, can we have a Zoom meeting? Like, yeah, anyway, we got on like a house on fire. And I thought, oh man, I love what sounds amazing what you're doing. I hope you can come down to New Zealand sometime. Anyway, the Equity Foundation ended up bringing her down to Australia and New Zealand, and a bunch of us worked together with her. A few of us stayed together for the full sort of 3-day workshop. And then from that, a group of us formed what we called Intimacy Tāmaki, which was a professional development group, to keep working on it, on the work, to practice what we'd learned. And we carried that on for quite a few months, actually. And then, I realised I wanted to get serious about this, and basically I've been training with her and just got fully accredited. Right. So it's been like 2.5 years. But I've kept working, but under her mentorship. That means, if I run into any problems or I'm confused about something or whatever, as with anything that you're learning, I get in touch with her. But and then just recently and Tandy and I have worked a lot together in April we finished our last sort of block of intense training, and I'm now up to 40 shows that I've worked on.
40 shows?
Yeah, between stage and screen.
Wow, that tells me that New Zealand's quite open to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. Because we're a small country, we take on change really quickly, and because I do a lot of advocacy for this work, I go and speak at various things. I take workshops at Directors and Editors Guild. I've gone and embedded best practice in Toi Whakaari, the Actors Program, South Seas, embedding the best practice for working with in intimate scenes, and teaching consent processes and stuff. And because of that advocacy, you kind of can't not know about it, because we're a small country. And we also speak at the Screen Women's Action Guild, Screen Safe Professional Respect workshops. And again, you've got people coming from all areas of the industry, from production, directors, producers, safety officers. They're all in one space, and we always give a speech about it. So with that, and with our small industry, the word spread really quickly. And now, probably not a week goes by where I don't get some inquiry, which is fabulous.
Yeah.
And it's not like we want to be there for every, I say I had to touch your face. It's not like, we've got to get an intimacy coordinator for that. But in our guidelines, which the union released, the new improved ones, which we spent 2 years developing, and is for the whole industry now. Amazing piece of work. Right from pre-production to post-production, how you handle what best practices. And because we have those guidelines there, whenever I'm speaking, I can, say, here's an example of why you might need, when you might need an intimacy coordinator. Because you don't want to get people to get freaked out, like, you're holding hands, you have to kind of get someone in. But as I said, age difference, power imbalance, minors, they're performing orgy, sex scenes, anything with fetish, anything with the actor is performing on themselves, any of those things we would recommend.
So I guess for productions now, it just means that it's just another part of their budget that they factor in now.
And most people are going, the scenes are better. So of course they're better.
The actors are freer.
And the actors are freer. That within structure is freedom. We're putting a really clean structure around it. Some of the directors, especially if you're on fast turnaround TV, you have an idea how happy the actors are. That I've had rehearsal with the actors. We've brought something to director, gone, are you happy? I will have talked to them first, because my job is to make sure I fulfill what the director wants. It's their vision. So if, what's the intensity of the passion? What's the, if they're making love, where are they at in that process? What's the rhythm that you're seeing? Where are you seeing it? As much as I can glean. But if you're very, very busy, and on fast turnaround, it's so wonderful to have a person work something up, show them, they can tinker with it, but the journey's anchored already in the actors, and it's been consented to. So they love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I can speak firsthand to this because you, of course, were my intimacy coordinator on Te Nesa with Frankie. But going into that show, I don't think when I first got the role for it that there was any mention of an intimacy coordinator.
Right.
And I got the role, and then we started rehearsal, and then level 4 lockdown happened because we were about to shoot. Then when we came back from level 4 lockdown, I got a phone call saying that you would be in touch as an intimacy coordinator.
Yeah.
And man, that was so different.
Yeah.
That was so different.
Yeah.
Because I've done intimate scenes over the years.
Of course.
You and I simulated sex many years ago.
And we were left to work it out ourselves.
That's right. But sorry, like in my experience, I've been very lucky that the people that I've had to work with, the actresses on stage, I've always kind of known them as mates anyway. So it's never been an issue, luckily, you know what I mean? But having an intimacy coordinator is so much better because you also have that third person in the room as well.
As I said, it keeps the work professional, not private.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to send actors away. There's no,
because you could get he said, she said.
Yeah. You could if you had a bad situation happen. So an example I give is I met this 20-year-old on an American TV series, and you always hope when you meet a 20-year-old that they won't have had a bad experience. But they have. So this girl was 16, first big TV show. She arrives on set. The script said they are intimate.
That's it.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah. We're holding hands. Yeah. We're sitting closely. My arms around you.
They're making love.
Yeah. The director said, first the director said, right, so you'll come in and sit down, and then you'll come and join her, and then you'll kiss, right? And off he went. She's 16, he's 27. Not casting any aspersions on him, but there's already problematic. Firstly, she didn't know what the scene entailed. So how can you consent to something if you don't know what you're consenting to? Secondly, age discrepancy. Thirdly, experience discrepancy. Fourthly, she'd never kissed anyone before.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Now, that doesn't you can't assume anything. I worked with loads of people and I make no assumptions. But she's freaking out quietly. But she's too scared to say anything because it's her first big TV job. And we all want to be good. We're trained to say yes. And the director left them to work it out. So you're making the older actor look after the younger actor, which means he can't kind of concentrate on his performance because he's concerned now. He's got an obviously frightened 16-year-old. And of course she's still carrying that around, which what I alluded to before about mental health statistics, it's not good. So I've been president since 2007, and I feel like doing this work means I can really walk my talk of trying to make actors' lives better, like actually in a visceral way make actors' lives better than when I started. So I will consider this to be one of my greatest things that I've done for myself and for our people. Yeah.
How many coordinators currently work in New Zealand?
Accredited, 3 of us.
3.
On a training path, another 2 to 3, 4, 2 to 4. Oh, actually, 3, and another on the pathway. And we've got some scholarships going that they've just been, that the Equity Foundation arranged so that we can bring tangata whenua on, people from the LGBTQI community,
Cover all your bases.
Yeah. In case people want to just work with somebody from their community.
I see.
Fine.
I see. Must be really rewarding.
It's amazing.
Hugely rewarding,
Yeah, we often come home and I've got this little WhatsApp group with my Australian New Zealand cohort of ICs who we all train together, and we're like, doing the goddesses work, because we just get a chance there to actually express any of our challenges and any of our joys and all of that stuff, and just to say, these 2 actors were, just amazing, and they loved the work, and they were just buzzing, and, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
That's so cool, Jennifer.
Yeah, it's really neat. I love it.
I'm glad you discovered that, and I'm glad for...
thank you. I didn't really need another string to my bow. I'm quite busy. So it has meant that I get taken in a lot of different... I mean, they're all from the same source, but in a lot of different directions. But I'm really kind of enthusiastic about my work generally. So, it's just another... I think I got good time management skills from my parents. When I was good genes, I've got useful genes, so I'll put them to good use.
So at the moment, all right, because I know you're really busy, but at the moment, just give me like a quick breakdown of what are the different types of jobs that you do.
Okay.
Firstly,
so actually, this is good because I'm directing a one-woman show. I'm about to go and teach some intimate scene work for the Actors Program. I'm on the American NBC Universal show called One of Us is Lying as intimacy coordinator. I'm doing a speaking engagement at the National Council of Women, and I'm in pre-production meetings for another big show that I'm directing. So that's just in a week.
What are you doing here? This is so cool.
This is actually my first day off in ages.
Oh, God,
yeah.
now I feel really bad. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
I can't
a lot
help
of
it when
balancing.
I'm there. Like when I'm in there teaching the work, I'm so
present,
and I'm so inspired by it. Like going and teaching. I did a whole day at Toi Whakaari, the entire school, every faculty, design, costume, production, direction, all the actors, had the entire school for half the day where we talked about best practice and we did consent stuff, and they also split into their faculties and looked at how this would, what they could do in their department to keep this kaupapa alive in the school. And then I worked with level 1, 2 and 3 actors in the whole afternoon. Honestly, I was on a high for probably 4 days after that.
Wow.
Because you see these actors going, their spines, they stand taller. They go, I could actually do this. They've gone, because they had this beautiful structure around them and this consent process around them, they were doing things that they didn't dream that they could do. They didn't have any idea. And they were just like, absolutely buzzing and feeling empowered. I mean, that's a whole new generation of actors coming out into the business who will have an expectation that there is a professional process around this mahi of ours.
So true.
Which we know is a legitimate part of our work, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Unless you're an actor who chooses not to, and kei te pai, you can, up to you. But if we have a legitimate part of our work, let's just not traumatise our actors. I've been working with the opera company on this. They're New Zealand Opera. As soon as they experience the work, now they won't do anything else without an intimacy coordinator. But do you know what it's like for opera singers and the chorus to be actually asked for consent?
No.
Novel.
Wow.
Novel.
Wow.
Never been asked.
Wow.
And many actors too, of course.
Yeah.
And some stuff comes up from past experiences. So you have to have it's why it's a job for someone who I think understands the nature of performance and performers, and is able to hold these people if something comes up. Obviously we're not psychologists, but...
I was just about to say that. What if you're working with some actors and some real rough stuff comes up? What do you do then?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, well, as part of my training, I do mental health first aid course, health first aid, working with children, certificates, all of that. Obviously, if something really deep came up, I would recommend some people to call for that person because you want to make sure that they're with professionals. I can do a certain amount, of course. I mean, I had an interesting situation where an actor was going to have to, her character was going to have to experience something that she'd experienced before that was traumatic. And her question was, should I use that? And my answer was no. We'll find another way around that's safer for you, because that doesn't need to come up in an unsafe environment. Let's keep that for professionals so that you are safe. But here's a way that I'm going to find for you to get the same feeling, but keeping yourself safe. You want to be open but not vulnerable. It's a difference, isn't there?
There is massive difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to be professionally safe. Yeah.
Because then it allows you to do your job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when you know, the other thing with this work is once you start putting in all of the beats, like what's that beat? What's happening in the moment before you kiss someone? That's where the gold is. What do you want when you look at this person? If your thoughts could speak, what would they say? I can't fucking take my whole body wants you, or whatever. Now, when the actors articulate that out loud, when you watch it, the scene, oh my God, all that's there. It's exquisite.
And it makes the physical stuff sort of almost secondary. The intimacy.
Physical, and that's what these two actors I was working with yesterday said. They were buzzing. They were going, it's like the kiss just took care of itself. Exactly, because you were playing all the beats. We interrogated what was going on so that we could make a much deeper scene. And any actor worth their salt wants to make it do their best work, don't they?
100%.
They want to go as deep as possible.
Yeah.
And as wide as possible and be as in there as possible, but they don't want to be self-conscious.
Yeah.
The moment you hop into self-consciousness, you've hopped out of the scene.
Yeah.
But if you anchor in a really great journey, a physical journey, emotional journey, you anchor that in, you're just so safe.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes like if you don't have that, then if you're doing a scene where you have to kiss someone, 90% of the time you're thinking about, I have to kiss this person, I have to kiss this person.
Yeah.
Get in there, nearly there.
Yeah,
now do it now.
Yes.
Most of
when are they
going
to call cut? When are they going to call cut? When are they going to call cut?
Yeah. Most of your brain's thinking about that.
Exactly.
Rather than what should be happening through the scene.
And it's annoying, isn't it? Because we want to be our best.
Yeah.
We want to stay in character. We don't want to hop out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could talk about this till the cows come home, but hey, we've only got.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, no, I just love it, and it's just I feel so happy to be living here because I get a lot of my colleagues around the world are working in countries or in states or places where people are very suspicious of it.
Right.
Where they don't really want an intimacy coordinator on set. It's just kind of in the way. Or they feel like somehow you're trying to do the director's work. And it's really not that. We'll do it if they want it, but ultimately I want to fulfill what you want. Yeah, and some directors are really specific, like really, which is fab. And some are like, go for it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for a long time. If I take you back though, you're originally a Wellington girl. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So when did you start to get into acting? Was it
when I was 7 years old?
Jeez.
My dad was in a play at what is now Bats Theatre, but was then in 1969 Unity Theatre, and they did a play of a Greek tragedy called Oedipus, and Dad was in it. So Dad was doing quite a bit of sort of amateur performance, but within quite a kind of funky little theatre group, and. Yeah, they needed some kids on the show. He took me and my sister along. Went up to the top floor to what I thought was a huge room, but 50 years later I went back and it's small.
Yeah,
but you know,
it's always like that.
Hey,
it's always like that.
Yeah, I was, and oh my God, just standing there, I was like, So I really have to, thank my dad really for my career, and I walked into that rehearsal room, and I don't think they'd even started rehearsing, but I got this in my chest. And I went, this is where I belong.
You remember this?
Oh, yeah. All of the big things that have happened in my life and that have driven me have all been that
same feeling.
An epiphany. So I went home and said to Mum I was going to be an actor. And I didn't know how.
What did your parents do?
Well, my parents have always been supportive. My parents split up when I was 4.
Yeah.
But I come from, on Mum's side, family of musicians. The arts is huge. Singers, pianists, violinists, cellists. On Dad's side, he was always really good at art and loved performing and had an economics degree and all of that kind of stuff. So I think if there'd been the opportunity to be a professional performer when he was around, he probably would have done that.
Right.
And a couple of years ago he died, and I left it too late to I think maybe a year before he died, and he'd probably had a couple of like mini strokes, so his memory wasn't so good. And I remember saying, "Oh, Dad, can you tell me about like how you got into acting? Like what was it?" And he went, "Well, it's quite hard to put together." And I thought, "Oh, I think I've missed the boat." But when he died and we went through all his archives, he'd kept every review, every program, every photo.
Wow.
So I feel like I can go, on this year you did this, and on this year you did that. So that was 7, kept doing pantomimes and drama classes, and a teenager. Went on to Close to Home when I was 14, which was the first TV soap that we had here. And then at 17, the second, if we're talking epiphanies, at 17...
Do you have an agent as a child?
No, no.
So
No, we didn't. No,
I
I just must have been through contacts, I guess. And I used to do things like youth drama schools at Downstage and stuff like that, holiday drama school things. New Zealand Theatre Federation drama schools, like 10 days up in Otaki on a drama course. Amazing, because you're surrounded by all of your teenage friends. Oh my God, you all want to be actors.
I do.
Any camp of, you're surrounded by a whole lot of people who want to do what you do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so amazing. And at 17, I'd do anything I could to be around the theatre. So I'd sell programs at Downstage. I'd waitress at Downstage when it was a dinner theatre. I'd usher at Circa Theatre. Anything that I could do. I was completely driven by it. And at 17, I saw Theatre Corporate, which was run by Raymond Hawthorne, come down and do a show called Metamorphosis. And I sat up there because I'd been ushering in my cheap seat, my free seat, up there, and I went, holy fuck, whatever they are doing, I'm going there. There's my second epiphany. I went, that is the work I want. And I ended up going to a summer school with Theatre Corporate, and then I got into the drama school. So, you know what I mean? It's like when you're sort of single-minded about something, even if you don't know how to do it, and there was no real kind of internet back then, or all of that stuff. So that's 17. 18, I got a job in a touring theatre company called the Town and Country Players. So we toured all through the lower half of the North Island doing school shows and kids shows and community shows. We'd roll up to a big shed, and all of the community would bring their potluck dinner, and we'd do 3 shows, one for the kiddies, a sort of a musical thing, and a little check-off for the whole evening. It was so amazing. And then it was after that I went to Theatre Corporate and moved to Auckland and did my training.
And how old would you have been at that time?
19. No, 19. And then after that, I went straight into the main company. In those days, there was a theatre company and the drama school. The drama school was attached to the theatre. So when we got out of the drama school, 5 of us went into the main company, and 4 of us went into the touring schools company, community theatre company, CTC. So from then on, play after play after play after play after play for years between there and the Mercury. Play. 10 shows. Sometimes you're... Oh, and then someone left CTC, so I did schools in the morning, rehearsals in the afternoon, show at night.
This is like your job, your full-time job.
Full-time job.
You're getting paid for this.
You're in a company. It's one of the days when you had a company. But no actors get that now.
No.
It kills me. Because that's how you get your... especially when you're with teaching directors. And all of the teachers who taught us were actors in the company. In the same way that with the Actors Program that we founded 10 years ago, all of the people who teach are practitioners. And it's a different quality. People who are actually doing teaching and are good teachers. So it made me a very robust performer. And everything from modern plays to Shakespeare's, to classics, to brand new British plays, to musicals, to everything, one after the other, all year, and then another year, and then another year.
Far out.
That's if I won Lotto, which I'll never win because I never buy tickets because I'm not a gambler. Thanks, Mum and Dad. But anyway, if I did, I would start a company and have 10 actors for a whole year, or like 9 months, and get them to do play after play. And then you'd get their level of craft would do this. And at the moment, it's like this for people, because if they're lucky, they come out of school. If they're lucky, they get a play, and they might create their own work, and a bit of TV here and a bit of TV there. But nobody gets that consistency. And I wouldn't be the actor I am, or the performer I am, or the director I am
if you hadn't had that.
If I hadn't had my teaching directors who instill craft in me. So it makes me really want to pay it forward, because when I'm working with people, I want them to be very focused on craft, so that when they finish that show, they're a better actor than they were when they came out. I mean, I think you always are anyway, because there's nothing like having a consistent experience of being on the stage. That's where you learn. But that's the other thing, of course, the seasons have all got shorter because the theatres have got bigger.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of a double barrel loss for performers, loss of company and loss of time on the green, on the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, when you were coming up, there's a whole lot of theatre happening.
Yeah.
But you said that you did a bit of you did the first New Zealand soap when you were like 14.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of screen stuff starting to happen.
Yes. So I did that over a couple of years, sort of intermittently, playing, one of the lead characters' mean girlfriend, and then, when was the next TV? So after drama school, that was 82. 83, I joined up with an agent, got a big TV job with Te Reo Morrison, and
what was that?
It's called The Seekers.
Series, or is it a movie?
It's a TV series, yeah. And then I don't know, I got little bits of film. I went away for 7 months to work at Centrepoint Theatre, and again, 4 plays in 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah, and with the other companies, sometimes you're doing 10 plays a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so different. I think for me, it's so different. Like once I had the decision to have children.
Yes.
And it changed a lot of things about what sort of jobs I would take, and the trajectory of trying to pursue consistent work as well. How old were you when you had children?
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
So Michael and I did 22 plays together before we had children.
God damn.
Yeah, I counted them up once.
22?
In the same play, and we were in the same play, because we were in the same company, or companies. So, and then I remember him when we were kind of talking about having a baby, and he said, well, what do you want to have achieved? And I went, wouldn't mind just, doing another film. 2 days later, I get called, offering me this role, not even an audition. I went, yeah, well, there's the answer. And so nobody knows how they're going to... We're two freelancers, like you, 2 freelancers. We made the decision, firstly, for only one of us ever to work at night, and that we'd always be there, in the morning, and that we'd never go away for more than a week, one of us. So we just did put some ground rules in place. And I think in all of those years when the children were growing up, and it was only because it was the best play in the world, did one play together. But we had sort of family come and, So it's like the children have stayed on I've got 2 boys. Jack's 24 and he's in the film industry. He's in the camera department, so he works a lot. So I got to work with him on Broken Wood recently.
Wow. And
Cameron's 21 and he's just about to finish his music production degree. So, apple doesn't fall far from the tree and all of that. But when they were little, they stayed on a real straight and narrow. So they'd have their, walk to school, have their lesson afterwards, their drum lessons or their swimming lessons or whatever. And it's like this with Michael and I.
Yeah.
Whoever could do it. And one day I went, oh, fuck, something had fallen through.
Yeah.
Some childcare had fallen through or something. I was like, why can't everything just be normal? And then I went in the next breath, your life has never been normal. It's never going to be normal. Get over it, Jennifer. Yeah. And so once I kind of went, that's how it is. Just go with it. It'll all work out. And so there was a lot of that, really. And close family, friends. And also I had my parents living with us for 4 months of every year.
Okay.
They'd come back from overseas, so that really helped. Yeah, I think a wider family is a godsend. Yeah.
It's so true what you say. It's the same with us. Our lives are like crazy.
Yeah.
But our children have such strong structure
Yeah.
in everything they do.
Exactly.
I think that we sort of base that's our base.
Yes.
So we work around that.
Exactly. Exactly. And there are those times when you must have felt this too, you know, where you've been working really hard, you're doing a show at night, and the kids are up, they vomited or wet the bed, had a bad dream, whatever. You haven't had much sleep, and you wake up in the morning going, how the hell am I going to do this show tonight? And of course you get there and Dr. Theatre takes over and looks after you and
you
all
flip
of
that
that
switch.
Yeah, but and I remember being a young actress and looking at an older actress who was in a show, and she was going, oh well, I'm going to go home now because, you know, I need to get up and make breakfast for the family. And I remember going, oh, Dottie, why? You need the sleep and you're working at night. And of course, when I became a parent, I went, oh, dolt.
Yeah.
What did I know? Nothing. You know, I get it. You do want to get up, even if you've had 3 hours sleep. You do want to get up and make their breakfast and walk them to school and all of that. You just do it. So, you don't sleep for 6 years, whatever.
Yeah. Of all the jobs that you do, you realise really quickly that being a parent's the most important one.
Mm-hmm. The ultimate creativity.
Yeah, it's also the most draining one.
Yeah, I always say to parents, especially actor parents, you know, I go, how old are your children? You know, X, and I go, you're still doing the hard yards. My admiration for you. Yeah, I know how it is.
But you have moments though during it where it's just gold, where you seize a moment, you're like,
it's the best thing ever.
This is worth it.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it, especially when they're asleep.
The best is
aren't they the best?
They're the best. They are the best.
No, I love my boys so much. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So coming from Wellington, making that move to come and live in Auckland, was that a hard move or?
I don't think I got to know the city for about 2 years. It seemed really huge to me, But you would have been inside a theatre most of the time. Yeah, I was. I was there like I was super focused. You know, I'd never be later than 8:05 in the morning. You know, we'd pretty well. Sometimes we'd all do a longer warm up than we did the bloody class. You know, because we were also wanting to be good young actors. So yeah, I used to do house cleaning because my drama school ran from sort of 9 till 1.
Right.
5 days a week, I think it was, and then I'd go and clean houses, or did I waitress? Babysitting, mostly cleaning houses. Yeah, that was my work while I was, you know, being a poor student. Of course, rent then was $15 a week. I know.
Oh.
Sucks, doesn't it?
Well, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But
yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
So it wasn't sort of like half your income.
Yeah.
Or 3/4 of your income like it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are those the only sort of other jobs that you've done outside of working in the arts?
Yeah. So I was a kitchen hand before I joined the Town and Country Players, cleaning hotels, cleaning houses, life modelling, and...
Life modelling? Is that nude modelling?
It's quite well paid.
Is it?
At an art school. Yeah. And I think that's pretty well it. Yeah. So all kind of out, either, just sort of supplementing that those early days. But otherwise I've never done any other job apart from all of the things that come from this job. So teaching and
I was thinking about that today. So I thought, because you got a really open mind, but you're open to learning more stuff like within the arts, within what we do, you know. Whereas, because I was thinking about myself and what I do, I was like, I don't really like have an inkling to like want to write anything or sort of do anything else around. Sort of, I might want to maybe direct something, but literally, it's either I just want to act or direct, and then I don't mind doing things outside of it, which is
like completely other.
Being a gym trainer,
yeah.
The other job I do, which is traveling, putting fences into into hardware stores.
Yes, yeah. But does that mean that you are not free to do auditions?
No, I make it work.
Oh, great.
Remember
well done.
how our lives
well done. Yeah. I get it.
And make it work.
I get
make
it.
work.
Yeah, I mean, actors. It's funny, you know. There's this this perception that actors are sort of, you know, kind of flaky or sort of, you know, walk around the house being various characters and emoting all over the place, and it's just so untrue. Most actors I know have to be really, really organised and resilient to make these careers work. Like, yeah, it's just such a, you know, bullshit perception.
It's so true.
Yeah.
You have to have such amazing time management. You have to.
Yep.
You have to. And you have to be able to structure things in your mind and also write it down as well.
Yes, exactly.
But that's why I knew, like, even like scheduling you in for this, that you're like me. You'd put it down and it's happening. That's it.
Yeah.
And do it.
Yeah.
So I'm the same as well.
Yes, exactly. So if I know, for instance, there's something over here 3 months away, but I know that I'm going to be so jammed up close to that, I'll start the work on it back here. Yeah. So that I can just go, choop, choop, okay, I'm ready. Not go, this is tomorrow, and I'm not ready.
Nothing worse than panicking.
Yeah. And I teaching's been a big thing for me. I take a lot of master classes around the country and go into sometimes small theatre companies in Hoanganui or Tauranga or wherever. And I love being able to go, here's some craft and let me articulate it in a way that you've got something to hold on to, that it's not this sort of woo thing of acting. Yes, some talent is there, but there's also craft, and you can learn craft. And here are some things that you can take away. I just find it gives me such a thrill because I care about my art, the art of performance. And when people don't do it well, it pains me. So I'm very into helping people try and learn more. Yeah.
You're an amazing person, Jennifer. You really are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. I think when I spoke to you on the phone yesterday and I was talking to you about the decision, I always have the Tonga flag behind me, but the decision for your flag to be the Rangatira flag.
Yeah.
Talk to me more a bit about that.
Yeah.
Talk to me a bit more about that and about your, because I do know that you're fully fluent in Te Reo.
My journey to learning Te Reo? How?
Yeah,
how and why? I really have to go back to Te Aotearoa school where I went to in Wellington, which is a primary school. It was just mainstream school. But we had a lot of... It was in Wellington when Wellington wasn't gentrified, city Wellington, probably like Grey Lynn used to be with the Pacifica community, you know, or Ponsonby area. So at my school there were kids who were Greek, Chinese, Samoan, Maori, pakeha, deaf, real melting pot of all of the kind of council flats around us, and we lived in Aotearoa Street. So it was, you know, houses were cheap then, like real cheap. And I had a couple of Māori teachers there. They didn't teach Māori, but they were Māori. And they took us to Māori Club, Ngāti Pōneke, and we'd learn waiata and games and things like that. They just made it their business to do that. So we sang a lot of waiata at school. And anyway, then I went on college. I knew it was just sitting there. Like I've always known, again, it's that thing. I've always known that it wasn't a matter of if I would learn, but when I would learn.
Why do you think that is?
Because I love the sound of the language. I love the vibration of the language. Now I can articulate it a lot more that the Te Reo Maori is fundamentally connected to the natural world. And so, like in the way that we compare the characteristics of the trees or the birds or the waves or the sea or the clouds or the stars to characteristics of people. Because...
Metaphorical.
Full of metaphors.
The same in the Tongan language.
I bet. And so, you know, tipuna of old was standing there looking at that pi waka waka, and then looking at that kid who's got ants in their pants, can't sit down, jiggle, 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 and going, oh, te tau pi wai waka or ti wai waka. You know, you've got got the bottom of the tail of a fantail. Isn't that beautiful?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Much nicer to say that than ants in your pants, which is kind of creepy and weird. And I've just loved that so much. There's a poetry and depth and vibration to Te Reo Maori that I've just adored. And also it's naughty and wicked and funny and dirty.
Of course.
And but I couldn't articulate that back then. But there was a point in 2000 where I just knew that I had to start. I had babies then. I had probably a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old then. So there's only so much you can fit in your life. So actually, it was 2008 where I went, I'm starting this, no matter what. So I went 4 years to one night a week night school, 3 hours on a Monday night. And then I took the plunge and went to Te Wānanga o Aotearoa for a rumaki course, an immersion course, five days a week, or 5 days a week. And I don't know how I did that and worked as well.
Find a way.
Yeah.
Find a way.
Yeah. And that was really challenging, like really challenging.
Why is that?
It's hard to learn a language when you're older.
Okay.
I think. And I was 46 when I started and 50 when I went to my very first university. I've never been to university. And Te Wānanga was a tertiary institution. So I'm learning at 50, first university experience, learning how to learn, because that's a whole other thing, and presenting that all in Te Reo Maori, which was pretty clunky for me back then. So, yeah. He manawa titi aho. I've got the heart of a titi. I stick at something no matter what, if it's important to me. And I knew I'd had enough profound realizations about the language that kept feeding me to keep learning. And then I go to kura reo, which are like 5-day language schools around the country, or this course, that course. I've kind of taken the longest, slowest route. And there are heaps of people learn lots faster than me. But I have to say that all of that time at that evening class, you see that you're not just embedding the language, you're embedding tikanga. So e hoa hari ana te tikanga me te reo, they go along as friends, tikanga and reo. And so I'll be in, never forget my teachers for all of that, right down to when you come in the whare, don't come in when somebody's started the mihi. Just stay out, wait for the waiata, then come in. Even tiny little things like their where to sit. What's the kawa, the tikanga of this particular whare, or hapu or iwi, whatever. So even though you're sitting in ignorance for the first years, it's going in slowly. I used to think, oh God, I could say that in French, could say that in German, and then now my French and German are hopeless. So I can obviously only hold 2 languages in my head at one time. But it's been really, really profound for me because the language for me has been a pathway to me being settled in my Aotearoa, my New Zealandness. Because the language is connected to the natural world and the land, and being on that path with the language, you cannot help but have more of a connection. But the other thing I want to say is that I also acknowledge that I don't bring any baggage to my learning journey. I don't have generational trauma, language trauma. I don't have grandparents who had it strapped out of them. Do you see what I mean?
100%.
There is so much language trauma. And I saw somebody, gosh, I wish I could remember who said this, when people are going, why are we getting bloody Maori, forced down our throats? Well,
farmers' strike.
Pardon?
It was the farmers' strike last week, 2 weeks ago.
Right.
That they had that on billboards on utes.
Yeah. But actually, what we've done is take the shackles off because it was suppressed, and there was an act created to suppress it. So there was a conscious decision to suppress it. It would have still been here if that hadn't been here. So actually all you're doing is taking the shackles off. So, I talk a lot about this to a lot of pakeha audiences. And the greatest thing for me is when people come up to me and go, I heard you talk at X place, and I started my reo journey because the reo is the winner. Not about me. The reo is the winner. And it will be heard and normalised. So when I say don't bring baggage, that's not to say it wasn't a struggle and hard and really challenging, but that's the baggage, not generational trauma. The other thing is that my great grandparents came to Aotearoa in 1823 as missionaries for the missionaries for the Wesleyan Church up north. So they built a whare there between two hapu up there, and they spoke Te Reo Maori. So that I'm also see that as a mihi to my ancestors. So and I've been really privileged to have these two things, the intimacy coordination and my love of Te Reo Māori meet. So I've been intimacy coordinating on Aotearoa, which is a bilingual TV
That's
series.
a cool show, man.
Yeah, it's a great show.
That's a great show. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, and I love that company that have said this is important to us, that our people feel safe.
We don't have television, but when I do travel and I'm in like a hotel or something, I will click on to see what's on New Zealand television.
Nice.
Māori television.
Yeah.
Aotearoa is that's a cool show.
Yeah, and they cover a lot of amazing things that are happening for young people. Goes and really, confronting kaupapa at times. So I've loved that, because the language is flowing around, and I can sometimes speak to the actors in Te Reo or Te Reo pakeha, whatever.
Am I hearing this right? That so did you originally start to learn for the language, and then the culture became part of it, or were you more attracted to the culture and the language was part of it?
I think it was the language, but then I realised that they're not separated. I realised through that, probably that first year or two, I realised that there was so much more than the words. Yeah.
Where I grew up in Tonga.
Yep. In a village or in a town?
In the capital.
Yep.
In the capital. But Tonga's quite small anyway, so you're only always 10 minutes away from the bush.
Yeah.
Nukualofa.
Yep.
Yeah. Kolomotua, which is just a hill over from the palace, where the palace is. I was there till I was about 17. However, the high school that I went to, Tonga High School is the only high school in Tonga where you're not allowed to speak Tongan. Yeah, this sounds bizarre.
You mean from the moment you started at 13?
You're going at Form 1.
So
you're going at 10, 11.
Wow. So you come home, it would be Tongan. You go to school, it would be all English.
If you get caught, you get hiding or you get punishment duty.
So you wouldn't have known a few words in English when you started?
Oh, no. My mother is pakeha. My father's Tongan. At home, it was English.
So you had been
English
bilingual?
Yeah, I was bilingual.
Lucky. So are you speaking to your kids bilingually?
No. We'll talk about this.
Okay. Don't go there.
No, see those cardboards there?
Yes.
Those are hymns in Tongan that I wrote. So I teach them hymns in Tongan. Try to get the language going that way through music.
But you still speak Tongan fluently.
So fluent. Like I can switch right now and we just go completely in Tongan. I know. It's just something in my brain about being at home with my family where I don't really speak Tongan.
How old's your baby?
Which one?
The littlest.
3.
Start, man.
Okay. Everyone tells me this.
Start, man.
Yeah.
That kid, those little spongy little brains.
Yeah.
Okay, so you were okay then when you went to school?
Yeah, it was fine.
Because English was fine.
But it was always bizarre to me that this high school, they had the idea that they were grooming teenagers to eventually leave Tonga and go into the Western world. So it would be to their advantage if they knew English better. I understand that.
Yeah, and that I think happened for many Māori people as well. Their parents thought that they've got to be able to survive in a pakeha, what was becoming rapidly a pakeha world.
I look back at that now and think that's just crazy. Because that's the one thing that you have that's rich to you, that's your identity, and you're trying to suppress that.
Yes.
And also because I know the Tongan language as well, I often do a lot of translations. like Tongan translations and stuff.
Nice.
It's often very hard to translate English into Tongan because the Tongan explanation is so much longer because it's so much more metaphorical, so much more descriptive.
Right. Yes.
Which I always realize that the English language to me is boring.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's not as rich.
I totally
it's not
agree.
as colourful.
Sometimes I want to say something, and the only thing I can express it because it encapsulates the beauty of what I'm trying to say is in Te Reo Maori.
Yeah.
The other thing is that iti te kupu nui te kōrero, few words, massive meaning. So you can get a long sentence, welcome to the da-da-dee-be-doo, all of you da-da-da-be-da-da in English, and there's like 3 words in Māori.
Yeah.
Because it's just a metaphor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Same thing.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Also, the other thing I wanted to say as well, Nora just started a class at MIT where she does Samoan in the evenings.
Mm-hmm. Did she grow up speaking Samoan?
Her parents are fluent in Samoan. Her parents grew up there. She speaks a bit of Samoan, but she wanted to just get to know it better, which I thought was great. But she said to me after her first week at the course, she said it's really sad. A lot of the people that are in her class are like people that are in their 60s, 50s, where they got told when they were younger they couldn't speak it.
It's heartbreaking, isn't it?
It's
like a part of your soul.
You're suppressed
it's really,
that
it's
and be told to that you can't do that. Tragic, hey.
Yep, it is tragic. Yeah.
It's part of the world we live in, I guess.
Yeah, but it's very sad. So did your mama speak Tongan?
She speaks a little bit.
Where did your mum and your dad then?
Yeah, Auckland Uni.
Okay.
Auckland Uni.
What was your dad studying?
He was studying civil engineering, and so he studying civil engineering. He met my mum. She was studying to be a kindergarten teacher.
Yes.
And then he graduated, and he was a civil engineer. But he felt he couldn't get any job here in New Zealand. That he could get an interview, but the moment he'd walk through the door.
Do you think it was racism?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, my mum's family is from Dargaville, but my mother's mother was always so welcoming of him.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah. And
so they didn't have to struggle with that, with their relationship, even if other people did.
Yeah.
Not in their family. Yeah. That's lucky.
And so he decided that go back to Tonga.
Yep.
Go back to Tonga. He gets offered to be the water manager of the water board. I know.
So that's right. So they built a life there.
Yeah, 25 years, I think. 25 years.
Wow.
And he built her a kindergarten, and she was a kindergarten teacher.
So was she speaking English or Tongan to the kindy kids?
English, because her Tongan was never great. And if I know my Tongan people well, they will laugh when they hear people mispronounce Tongan.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that put her off a little bit as well.
Yeah.
But 25 years she spent over there. And then when I was about 10, because he'd go on a lot of international meetings and stuff for Tonga, he went to a conference in Taiwan and had a heart attack in his hotel room.
At how old?
He was 41.
Did he die?
Yeah.
How old were your kids?
Were we?
Yeah.
I was 10.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah.
What a terrible shock.
We had just adopted the youngest from extended family, and he was only 1.
Like a whāngai baby.
Yeah.
Do you have that expression, whāngai?
No, we don't.
Right.
We just have...
the concept's the same though, isn't it?
Toko wa aki, which is like a brother.
Right.
Tuofefine aki, like a sister.
Oh, nice.
But
is the ake part like
your cousins, your family.
Right, yep. Yeah, whanaunga.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mother was widowed quite young.
Hell. With 5 kids.
5 kids. Yeah.
So they bring him back to Tonga?
Well, this is cool, man. I've never talked about this in the podcast, so it's cool that we're talking about it. So she had to go to Taiwan, and she came via New Zealand, and some of her sisters went with her to Taiwan.
Goodness.
And lucky they did, because as is tradition over in Taiwan, they automatically cremate bodies. But in Tonga, that would have been kind of traumatic for the family because we don't do that at all. So lucky she had gone over because she brought his body back. Yeah.
Do you remember being told?
Yeah. We were cooking sausages.
How did she say it? I don't know.
I was in Form 1.
It must have broken her heart to say that.
Well, I remember how I was in. There was a knock on the door. I think it was one of his secretaries from work had come round, and I opened the door, and I saw it was her. She was crying. She says, "Your mum home?" And I said, "Yeah." I knew it was something bad, and so my mum came, and I remember she was crying, and she just grabbed my mum and hugged her, and she said, "I bring you sad news from Taiwan," and I was probably in a bit of disbelief.
Of course.
She came in and sat down, and then she just said, Felipe had a heart attack, and he's passed away in Taiwan. And I remember running to my room. I was screaming.
So shocked.
Yeah, but we had louvers, and on the outside of the louvers had mosquito netting. But because there's a lot of dust in Tonga, the mosquito netting you can only see out, you can't really see in. And I could see that sitting outside was one of my dad's drivers, and he could hear us crying inside, and he was just sitting under the breadfruit tree. I was 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
So life changed significantly for you all. And your mum, were her sisters, right?
She was alone. All her sisters lived here. She was one of 4 sisters. All her 3 sisters lived here in New Zealand. So they went and brought the body back, and we had a funeral.
Wow.
And she didn't want to come back to New Zealand. She wanted to stay in Tonga because she wanted us to, she wanted at least me and my older sister to finish high school.
Yep.
Because we were around our friends.
So you were in that first year then at Tonga High School, that year, as you said, Form 1. So she just kept working as a teacher and bringing you kids up, and you all went.
She left being a kindergarten teacher. She went in because she's a great English speaker. Got an English teaching job at the local teachers training college and worked there. And I started working in my holidays from when I was about 13 at supermarkets. Yeah.
Was she? Did she get a pension from your dad, or she was just basically you were a single income family?
I don't know. I do know that the house that we were living in belonged to the water board.
Oh, so did you have to leave it?
Had to leave.
Oh my God! So not just like a complete upheaval.
Yeah, but also my dad had siblings there in Tonga, so my aunties, we became so close. They would help us out, and
they must have all been devastated too.
Yeah,
what a young man.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
Didn't drink, didn't smoke. Just the food he was eating, a lot of roast pig in the islands, a lot of corned beef, had clogged up his veins, so the blood wasn't pumping through properly. But he would exercise every morning. But let that be a warning to a lot of our Pacific Island people, always get your heart checked up.
Yeah, indeed.
And it doesn't matter, you can think you're healthy, but you should always check your blood pressure and the flow of blood through your veins.
How old are you now, Michael?
38. Yeah. So I'm due to get a checkup soon.
Yeah, good on you.
Yeah. But that...
Wow. That must have been a huge time. And you being the eldest?
No. Second eldest.
Second eldest?
Yeah.
So your sister was older than you?
Yeah. God. But still, though, there's a thing that's put on your shoulders when you're the eldest boy, eldest son.
Do you think that drove you to, make sure that in the holidays that you did go and work and, help take care of the family?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. There's a different... You grow up faster. You grow up so much faster. I think I put a lot on myself as well,
Yeah, I wonder, did anyone say things to you? Did any of your male relatives say, well, now you're the man of the house sort of thing? Was there that kind of thing going on?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's a lot for a 10-year-old.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. now you're the oldest, you represent your family. Go to a funeral, I have to get up and speak, represent my family.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you taken your family back to Tonga?
We are hoping to do so very soon, yeah. But they are very strict with their lockdown, very strict.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Yes, they're having a bit of a problem there too, aren't they?
No, Tonga's okay.
Oh, no, Tonga, is it
Fiji.
Samoa? Fiji, that's
Viti,
right.
or should I say Viti? I
Yeah.
had on a Fijian poet last week, and he explained to me the Fiji name is Viti.
Ah,
Viti, yeah.
V-I-T-I.
V-I-T-I, Viti.
Oh,
I learned something
okay.
new that day.
we'd probably say in Māori, Fiji.
Yeah. He said it came from, because he looks after the museum, looks after some of the old Pacific artifacts and a lot of the historical papers and stuff. Darren Kamali, do you know Darren?
No, I don't. Is he up at the
No.
museum?
Auckland.
Yes.
Auckland. Man, Darren's great. But yeah, Darren explained to me that the name Fiji, because they don't have an F in their language.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, which Samoan does.
Yes,
Doesn't it?
Yeah,
Whānau.
Yeah. Samoa does. Yeah.
Fale.
Tonga does. Yeah.
What do you have for a house? What's your name for?
Fale.
Fale.
Yeah.
With a V. With a
No,
what?
Fiji doesn't have a F in their
No,
language.
but how do you spell
But Tonga,
Fale?
F-A-L-E, Fale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Fiji, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Amazing.
But he said that the way the missionaries came, when they came through Tonga, Tongans referred to Fiji as Fisi, which that's what we call them. We call them Fisi. And so they changed it into Fiji, and that's how they were named Fiji. But they've always been known as Viti.
Wow.
Viti.
My after my missionary ancestors left Aotearoa, they went and spent a lot of time in Tonga.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, with the Methodist Church. That's quite big there, eh?
Huge.
Wesleyans.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's why a podcast is so cool, because we just go off on tangents and talk about different stuff.
But that's big stuff for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And heartbreaking for a mother to have to look at her kids. I mean, you never want your kids to hurt your kids, you know. You never want them to have pain. It's like I can see why, you know, if mothers get sick and they, you know, potentially are going to die, how they want to hold on so much because they can't bear their children not to have their mum. I think it must have been unbearable for your mum to know that you kids didn't have your dad. Yeah.
She never had another relationship. She never remarried.
Is she still alive?
Yeah.
Where does she live?
Dargaville. Yeah.
Back in Dargaville.
She works at the checkout counter in Countdown, Dargaville.
Wow. So you all stayed there, finished your high school, and then your whole family moved back to New Zealand. Your first time ever to New Zealand?
No.
Oh,
We come for visits every now and then. And
can you remember that?
Coming over?
Yeah.
It was huge.
Like for the big move, like the actual move?
It was a massive deal. My entire family had, my uncle had owned this bus, had come down in the bus from Dargaville, finally they'd all come down together to the airport to greet us. We had sent over like a crate and stuff, you know, all our belongings to meet us at the airport. And here was this family of 5 kids and a mum. And
so you all went to Dargaville?
We came over on the 1st of January, the year 2000.
So
the 8th of January. So it was in summer holidays. So we went up there for summer, but I had already planned to go to Palmerston North for 7th form. Tonga didn't have a 7th form.
Why Palmerston North?
Because I was at that age, Jennifer, you know, when you're 16 and you're brought up by, had a solo mum for the last sort of 5-6 years. And you want to just kind of get away from that. You know what I mean? It becomes a bit too much, you know? And it was for me, and I just wanted to sort of just put a bit of distance between me and my mum. If I could have gone to Invercargill, I would have gone to Invercargill. I needed some space.
But did you know someone in Palmerston? I mean, why did you go to school, 7th form, Palmerston?
So
it's got to be Palmerston North. I mean, why?
So my sister was already there at Massey.
Okay. Oh, okay, so you had family there.
And also she found a house where I think one of my English teachers in Tonga High School had a sister who was married, and I could board with them.
Okay.
Yeah. I hated it.
The boarding or the school, the town, which one?
The boarding, the school, it was a huge culture shock.
Oh, hell yeah. And Palmerston North in winter,
I've
spent 7 months there all through winter, biking around.
Yeah.
I can't breathe.
Yeah. Man, okay, so I'll tell you this. So yeah, so coming from a place where my skin is always naturally, what do you call it, moist,
Yeah.
humidity, to coming to Palmerston North, right? Firstly, like I wasn't prepared for like how cold and dry it was, and to put anything like on my face and skin was like a feminine thing, so I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't told otherwise, that you're supposed to moisturize, and so my skin would start to crack. And to put anything on my lips, it was like feminine as well. I thought it was like, put lipstick on. I'm not going to do that when it's just like what do you call it?
Like a lip
balm.
a lip balm.
So my lips cracked as well.
Wow.
And
in winter, yes.
yeah, and I had a bike.
Yes.
So I was biking around as well.
Done that.
And yeah. So
that bitter cold midwinter, riding at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my skin would like break out as well, and it was horrible that first year. And I scored myself this part-time job at McDonald's on Rangitike Street in Palmerston North, where I'd work at nighttime. I was earning $8.70 an hour. Now I had just come from a place where I was earning 80 cents an hour.
Oh, did you feel like we're in the money?
I was
we're
blinging.
In the money.
I was blinging. I was
did
like,
you have to pay for the board?
My mum was paying for it. I think it was like, I can't remember. I was like, she was paying something like $80 a week or something. Yeah, I was blinging.
And then when you finished 7th form, what then?
Yeah, so towards the end of so because it's such a culture shock and stuff, my grades went. I was head boy of Tonga High School. My grades were really good. I was a really good student. I was an all-round student. Different story. My first year here in New Zealand, completely different story. I failed my bursary. Yeah.
Damn.
But my careers advisor in 7th form said, "Would you want to try out for the local the 7th form school production?" I was like, "No," because I was in the first 15. Yeah, wasn't going to do something. Then she convinced me. She was like, "Just do this part," and I think we're doing Macbeth.
Yep. Who did you play?
But it was like a comedy take on Macbeth. Okay. You know what I mean? Like a kind of like a, what do you call it? Like
a spoof or something?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and I played Macbeth. King Duncan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gets murdered.
And then, but somehow from that, she decided that I should audition for Unitec.
Okay, so you're 17, you do your school production, you finish school, and then you went and auditioned for
Unitec.
Wow.
Just towards the end of my 7th form year.
And then you got in?
Got in. Now, the only other place I applied to...
And that was the only play you'd ever done?
Yeah.
How did you... Then how was going to drama school?
Weird. So weird. So weird.
Directed Rutene Spooner's show, and he was like Gisborne boy, and his drama teacher drove him all the way to Wellington, 13 hours, because she wasn't, lost her way a bit, and then and he auditioned, and then he got into NZer, which was like musical theatre school, and he's this big Māori boy, and all of these people are tapping and singing, and they're all like, they come out of the womb, tap dancing, and he's like, whoa.
Yeah. I remember the audition at Unitec. I went with my cousin, and my cousin was like in a black singlet, and he had like a chain and sunglasses. And he was sitting, I don't know why he came inside, but he was sitting, this is up in the, I think A4 studio.
Yeah, that big room upstairs.
This is with John Davies.
Yes.
And John Davies is trying to get us to firstly walk like tigers.
Yeah.
And my cousin's sitting in the corner, right? And then he gets us to do this exercise where you're going through a block of butter, right?
Okay.
I've never done anything like this before. By this time, my cousin is in fits. He just can't.
I don't know why they let him in there.
He got sent out straight after. He was like, "Excuse me, need you outside." He got sent out. But I had an open mind.
Okay.
I was like, you know what? I don't know what this is. I'm going to go for it. And so I just did what they told me. And
did you enjoy that production that you were in?
Which one?
At school.
Yeah.
Like you had a ball.
Yeah.
So there was enough of a zing there to go, oh, this is.
Yeah, there was like when I was on stage, I could feel moments where I could hold the audience. You know what I mean? Like when I'm in control here.
Yeah.
I've got this.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could feel that. And yeah.
Yeah, I wonder about us as actors, like what is it that's driving it? You know, sometimes being on the stage can be the safest place to be, can't it?
I really believe so, because a lot of times as well, I think quite a big misconception is a lot of people assume that actors are quite outgoing, quite loud and stuff, but in real life, I'm probably the opposite. And so is my wife. Probably. You're
quite shy.
Yeah, I'd rather.
Sometimes I have to gird my loins to go. And people think, oh, really?
Yeah,
no, it's not true. But actually,
yeah.
Like I like being home.
Yeah. Whereas like when you're on stage, you're playing someone else, and I can inhabit that persona, the way that person thinks. So I'm stepped away from myself. Therefore, like it feels more freeing, and I feel more private, I think, when you're on stage. But yeah, and that's how I got into drama school. And then but I'm the sort of person, like, if you give me an opportunity, I'm just going to run with it. And so I ran with it, and I had an agent by third year.
So what year were you in your third year? When did you graduate?
My last year was 2003.
2003, okay.
Yeah. I was in the same class as Sia.
Yes.
Siobhan Marshall.
Yes. So
you
I
directed Big River.
Big River.
Yeah. For the
that was
other year.
At my 40th birthday, because all of the students gave me this big, beautiful.
Oh my God, I remember this. Yeah.
It wasn't a waiata. What's the equivalent in Samoan or Tongan? But it was a big mihi. What would be the equivalent when you're celebrating somebody? All of the guys did a big thing, and maybe it was.
Where was it?
It was upstairs in the big rehearsal room, and maybe John Tui was one, and who else? Fasi Tua.
Where do we perform?
In the Unitec Theatre. But I'm just thinking I just remember turning 40, and all the students in the cast, because there was about 25 of you, all did a big thing for me. So there we go.
Can't remember.
Yeah, so that must have been 2002. That Big River was. You were second year. So were you in my slave group?
I sure was.
Crossing over.
I was on that.
To the other side.
I was on that.
On the raft.
The raft.
Yeah.
The raft.
That looked beautiful.
Yeah.
I loved that show. Oh my God, it was beautiful.
I remember one night, a couple of nights, the raft broke down.
Were you stuck there?
Yeah, because it used to be one person on the side pulling it.
That's right, yeah.
And then there was a couple of nights where it got caught, one of the wheels got caught. So a couple of the slaves jumped in the water.
That wasn't what I directed. Yeah,
was that one of your first experiences directing?
Yeah, probably my second, maybe. I think I'd done the third year's Let Yourself Go, which had Kyle McNaughton, Kerry Wakia, God, a whole bunch of those darlings, Helena Easton, and they all in their beautiful suits and amazing gowns, and they all felt lovely because they'd sort of spent the whole year being peasants and, ugly clothes, and I made them just, look $1 million. And had roped all my friends in who were great designers and hairstylists and everything.
Mike Edwards, Leisha Ward-Knox.
Leisha was, yes. Mike wasn't.
Right.
In that. Yep, Leisha was one of the singers. And Jeremy. Yeah. And Barnaby.
Far out. You got a great memory.
Yeah, Barnaby.
Yeah, Barnaby.
And I can picture them all. Dave Van Horn. Fasitua, Siobhan, Abigail Greenwood.
Yes.
Yep.
Was it a musical?
It was a musical. Beautiful musical. Stunning musical. So I loved it that Murray gave me that chance. He said, "You want to do this?" Hell yeah. Okay, I can move 25 people on the stage.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I love getting those opportunities. Like, you don't know that you can do it, but you say yes anyway and try it.
Figure it out.
Yeah. And I think all of the influence that I had from my directors who were used to moving big groups of people on stage really came into play there. And a couple of years ago I directed Madame Butterfly for Festival Opera in Hastings.
Okay.
And I had 60, 50 chorus.
Yeah.
Just being able to fill the stage with them, make it look really great, make everybody move as one and react as one, and understand everything. So heaven.
That was the beginning of your sort of directorial.
Yeah, it was at Unitec.
Yeah.
Unitec was my first piece of directing, proper piece of directing. God, sometimes I look back and go, Jesus, I was ballsy. Like, yeah. Like, I didn't know if I could do it. Well, no, I must have known I could do it, but I
Didn't know how it was going to happen.
how.
But it was going to happen.
It was going to happen.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
You figure out a way.
Yeah, you do. Well, you start, actually, I think when you start teaching directing, you learn how much you know. It's not until then where you have to impart it. You go, oh, actually, that's an instinctive thing for me. Oh, okay, let me just break this down.
Try and explain it.
Yeah. So, like, I remember in one show where this young man had to walk along. I'd sort of set it in a New York skyscraper club. He had to walk along as if he was looking out the window and then stop, take a cigarette out, light it, blow smoke out, and look out. Now, had to be really cool. And this young man just couldn't. So I went, okay, so instinctively, what am I doing? So I broke it down. So you're going to walk along, you're going to do this many steps, and you're going to look at every chair that you can see in that back row. Well, oh, you missed one. Go back, because then it looked like he was scanning the horizon.
Great trick.
And when you get there, I want you to actually look at your pocket while you do it, and light it. Keep your hand a bit higher. And when you blow up, I want you to look up over there. Now, once you'd put all that together, so yes, he kind of had to model that, but once he'd put it together, he'd learned an entirely new rhythm, like it was his. Just a few times he needed to do it, but to take the time. And the teachers would say, how did you get that young man? You look so cool and elegant. I went, oh. He did the work, but I broke it down into achievable things for him. It's not enough to say to some people, just look cool. I mean, what is that? What does that mean?
Yeah.
It's like, just be intimate.
Just be intimate, yeah.
What does that mean? Be more, just do more. Be kind of sexy.
Be kind of sexy.
You know, how's that? I don't know how to do that.
I've heard directors say that.
Yeah.
Just be sexier.
Yeah, and of course all the actor does is go, because we're saying, I don't want to bring my personal sexuality to this at all, thank you very much. You know, directors making actors sex workers, or do you want us to actually explore our characters? The latter, I think. Yeah.
So just more recently, you currently, have you just wrapped on your first short?
Yeah, directed my first film. Yeah, so...
Do you want another one?
I'd have a little Harvey, yeah. Sure. Thanks.
What's it called?
It's called Disrupt.
Okay.
And it's written by Aotearoa.
Yes.
And produced by Te Melbourne. Aotearoa and I've worked together a lot. And I'm... Yeah, tēnā koe. And we got another play in the pipeline too. He's got another play in the pipeline that I'm going to direct. And yeah, I mean it's a kaupapa Māori, but it's a kaupapa the sort of bigger kaupapa is about pee addiction in this country,
right? And
which of course is a scourge, destroying families and towns and livelihoods and everything. And it's about a young man who, you know, breaks into an old lady's house and robs her, and we find out she's actually family. And yeah, we hope that there might be some sort of hope at the end of it, but just seeing that these two worlds collide. I really enjoyed directing it.
Okay. I
don't know if I want to do heaps of films, but because they take about 3 years of your life even to get a short going, you know. But I loved working with the actors and the crew, and I felt so, like, again, I hadn't directed a short film before, but I'm so comfortable on set and I'm so comfortable working with actors, and I think those two gave me the confidence to go, yep, I can do this. And I'd worked with the DOP before and some of the crew before, so it's a really beautiful feel, and the weather gods shone on us, and yeah, it was great. So we just in sound mixing now.
Post-production,
yeah, post-production. Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that coming out.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you. Have you directed any short films?
No.
Do you think you'd like to?
Maybe.
Maybe. They really take a lot of money.
Okay.
And we did ours on the smell of an oily rag.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of money, lot of goodwill, a lot of energy. And it sounds like you've got enough on your plate anyway.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I thought, maybe later on.
Yeah.
When there's a bit less. But was yours funded?
No.
So how...
Oh, we got some funding from Ngāho Whakaari, but
Right.
we raised 20 ourselves.
Wow. How did you do that? You just do like a group...
Boosted.
Yeah, okay.
We all put money into it ourselves. We worked for free. Well, the three of us. People took slightly cheaper rates.
What did you end up making it on?
Maybe 30k or so.
And that's
35 maybe?
Yeah, that's of a few of you working for free as well.
Yeah.
It's hard, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I can see why people get addicted to it,
Right.
to filmmaking. Because it's pretty beautiful looking at those pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I also like the same thing on a play, you know, suddenly seeing a whole thing come together and you sitting there as the ultimate audience when you're directing a play.
Because you've always got to see it from outside, how this little part's going to fit into.
And also I'll know if I'm being held with that energy between the actor and the audience, you know? Like I can feel it here if it drops. So I'm always kind of looking to keep the ultimate concentration of the audience member watching that actor. Because it's easy to get the audience's attention, you just turn the lights out. Right?
So true.
And then the lights come up,
Yeah.
and the actor's there,
Yeah.
and the audience is poised and waiting and ready to be entertained or appalled or whatever the content of the play is.
Yeah.
But the trick is to keep them there. That's it. And that's craft.
It's so true.
Yeah, and I'm forensically interested in what makes an audience disconnect. Where you're going, and then you do, and then you might look at your watch.
What do you think ultimately makes an audience?
I think there are a number of things. I think they've got no buoyancy of the breath. I think they've got a classic one that I find is that there are no new ideas in it. So we want to feel that what we're hearing on stage has been made up right then, right in that moment. And if you don't have the inspiration of the breath, see what I mean? You're waiting to hear what comes out.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, and you're not processing during the other person's lines, so you get sloppy cues, and people are dropping ends of lines, you get a very soggy feel. So it's unconsciously the audience don't quite know why they're disconnecting, but they feel like there's a whole lot of endings. Because the person's talking and dropping the ends of the lines, again and again and again, with whatever they're saying. And so it goes on until you just want to die of boredom. So I never wanted to get to that. So I'm really strong on articulating the craft of these things. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And I work with singers a lot too for that same thing. Because what you see, like we can tell when an actor's working. If the actor is processing, i.e. there are thoughts and feelings, I'll start that again. Yes, actors need access to their emotion, we know that. But it's how we deal with that emotion, how we process that makes us do things. Like watching someone trying not to break down is more interesting than watching them break down.
That's so true.
Because in the trying not to break down is the processing of the actor. So I could be talking to you and I'm going, and in my head, I don't want Michael to see that I'm going to cry because, it's supposed to be professional and, that wouldn't be good if he saw that. And me trying to push that feeling down, subconsciously the audience connect with that because it's a human thing and we can feel the actor working. So even if the person was just supposed to be standing and nothing was happening, nothing should be happening because the actor is still working in their heads. We're still glued to them. So you can see this within singers, and particularly in opera singers. They sometimes have 22 bars, 48 bars of just music. They've been going sing, 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 and now it's just the pianist playing, and they've got to just be there while the instrumental stuff goes on, and then they join in again. And a lot of the time I'm seeing people sort of going, nothing going on, no one home. But if you played the content of what you've just been singing, say they're singing about, it doesn't matter if the song's 400 years old or 4 years old, but if they're singing, my heart is breaking because I'm waiting for my love to come home and he's been away for 6 months, say those are the words they're singing, and it could be in French or German or English or whatever, and then when it's just the music, they need to still be going, I love him so much, I feel like I'm just half a human when he's not here, whatever. I get them to articulate it out loud, and then they've embedded it in their body at a cellular level, so that when
it's organic,
they do perform, they've got stuff going on, and we will stay glued to them no matter what happens, instead of feeling sorry for them because we go, oh my God, they're just waiting for the music to start, aren't they? That's just awful.
Yeah, it's painful.
So it's like, it's painful. So staying in the moment.
I think it's also because you know that the actor doesn't want to be there either. That's all they think is, please let the bloody music start, please. I hate this bit because I don't know what to do here. You can see it all. Yeah.
And we're all sitting in this weird kind of discomfort. Doesn't matter how beautiful a voice is. We won't care.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Well, once the performers disconnected themselves, then why would the audience stay connected?
Yeah. So I'm so interested in that connection, and what we can do to keep it there. It's fabulous.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, Jennifer, New Zealander of the Year.
Oh yeah, that was a surprise.
What does that mean? What does it mean? I said it to my son this morning when I was bringing him back from his rugby game. I said, the lady that's coming on today, she's New Zealander of the Year. He goes to me, what does that mean? And I was like, well, there's 5 million people in the country. And he was like, so is she the best?
Oh, I know.
I was like,
I think it's about, look, when I got the call saying I was on the group of 10 shortlist.
Somebody nominates you, eh? That's how it
yes,
works.
and I have no idea who. And then there's 12 judges from all walks of life, every different area, science, arts, and I think like 1,000 or more nominations come in.
Wow.
And there's a bigger group than then who sifts them down, I guess, to a manageable number, and then that goes to the 12 judges. And I met someone who said that he'd been a judge, and he said, you should be really confident that by the time we've decided on that person, we are all in accord. Yes, certain people come in and go, I'm really fighting for this person or fighting for that person or whatever, but once it's all sifted down, they're all in accord. It's not like a jury, like 3 of them like
vote.
Yeah. Anyway, so I get a call from lovely Anne, who was running the New Zealander of the Year Awards, which I didn't ever think about. And she said, hi, it's Anne here. I have some wonderful news for you. You've been, she's American, nominated as, you're in the final 10 of the New Zealander of the Year. And I went, what? What? She said, yes, New Zealander of the Year. You're in the final 10. I went, what? Why? And she said, well, because the judges, da-da-da-da-da. She said, I'll call you back in a month because that's when we'll know the final 3. And I saw, about a month later, I saw her name on my phone. I went, hi, Anne. No, I went, actually, I didn't say how. I went, no. And she went, yes. And I went, no. She went, yes. I went, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Because I would have been very happy to stand up for either of those other 2.
Who were the other 2?
Peter, the Rocket Man, and lovely the doctor who'd worked with a lot of. Now you're going to get me cut this bit out. Optometrist? No, she worked with a lot of developing developing protocols around looking for after premature babies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Both, amazing people.
Wow.
In fact, being in that room on that night, I was blown away by, because they've got Community Person of the Year and this of the year and this, how much kindness there is in this country. And I went to the last one too when Susie Wiles got made New Zealander of the Year 2021. Like you don't hand that over. You stay that New Zealander of the Year for the year. Apparently, you're just part of an alumni. So Susie will always be 2021. The next person will be 2022. I just thought, and it all came from empathy of trying to make a change, trying to advocate something that was bigger than you and important. So it doesn't. I'll just keep doing my work whether I was New Zealander of the Year or not, you know what I mean? But I can't really even answer that question because I didn't nominate myself. But what I found it useful for is if I can be a voice for the things that are important to me and important to other people, and I can use that position, that's great. It's like any gongs you get, they really come into importance when you can advocate for somebody, or perhaps your position is going to help some kaupapa get off the ground. That's great. That's wonderful. So I was really, really honoured, hugely honoured and hugely surprised. It's pretty wild. And then the pandemic happened. So 4 weeks after.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I had a whole lot of stuff all lined up, and then it all went like this, and I lost every bit of work. We went into that long lockdown. Well, long for us, not for anywhere else in the world. And I really went, oh, right, have I got a career anymore? I took myself off for a walk a couple of days after that. I think my record was losing 5 jobs in one day in lockdown. I think after number 4, I came out and said to the family, whoop, that's number 4. I think that's it for the day. Nope, something else went. So I went for a walk and I reminded myself of my faith that I'd always get work. No, that I would always work with great people on great projects. That's a little mantra I have. And that it's always been, I've never known what was going to happen ever for 35 of my 40 years. So why would anything be different now?
Now more than ever, yeah.
Yeah, now more than ever. And 2 days later, ATC rang and said, would you like to be on the Zoom production of the Chekhov's The Seagull, which you can watch on YouTube, which is fabulous. So I was an actor at home on Zoom for 3-4 weeks.
How do you do that? You read?
No, we acted with each other
as
if the characters were on Zoom in lockdown. It's wild. Watch it. Chekhov's The Seagull, ATC, on YouTube. It's up in perpetuity now. It's being studied, that production, on universities around the world. Eleanor Bishop and Eli Kent. Beautiful work.
How long into lockdown before they came up with this?
Really quick.
Yeah.
ATC pivoted really, really brilliantly, and they paid all their actors out.
Wow.
I'll be forever grateful for them. You're contracted, we'll pay you out.
Wow.
Not every theatre company did that. No siree. Because it's, that they're all going to stay on salary, but the actors are relying on that contract.
When you say they?
Well, anyone who's in management, their salary's not going to stop. So I thought it was great that they went, and nor should the actors who've contracted and put this time aside for working here, pay them out. So, so I was an actor at home and made little, we did same thing, costume calls all on Zoom and design calls, making sure the background was right, and lighting calls, and every now and then something would be delivered to my front door. It's socially distanced, and leave on the front doorstep, and I'd sort of, wave from the road, or they'd wave from the road. So that was really good. That actually got me feeling it was really good for my mental health that to be able to do that production. So then and then of course once we all came out of lockdown, everything just kind of took off at a pace. So when I look back at my I go to my website to check what I've been doing in my life. But when I look at that, back at that, I can go, actually, there are pretty well the same number of speaking engagements. But I'd probably do 15 to 20 a year as my community service, just around all sorts of different people and talking about all sorts of different things. So, I just kept doing that. And it's nice for people if it's useful for them to go, and we've got the New Zealander of the Year to come and speak, great, for whatever their kaupapa is, whether it's fundraising or whatever, their community group, whatever. Yeah. So it's a pretty amazing thing.
I like what you said about kindness, like about when you looked around the room that night.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, when you're in that age of social media, right? And also the news always reports a lot of things that are bad. Do you know what I mean? Because people, for some reason or other, humans are quicker to jump and find out about what's bad. Yep. But how do I explain this? Normally, on my timeline, right, there'll be things that'll come up every now and then that I won't click on because I don't want to start an algorithm thing where I have those things always pop up. Mm-hmm. And there might be things about something bad, like about kids being abused at a daycare centre, caught on a camera, those sort of things. You know what I mean? A lot of bad things happen in this world, but I always try and hope that for every bad thing that's happening, there's double the amount of good things that are happening that we don't hear about.
Yeah. And in that room, seeing all of that and all of the finalists, oh God, there's so much kindness here. It's so beautiful. People just doing things that are nothing to do with getting anything back. But of course you do get back. Yeah. You do get back, but doing it for all of the right reasons. So if you ever wanted your faith in humanity restored, go to a New Zealander of the Year evening. So beautiful.
It's quite important, I think, that people don't lose hope.
Yes, and I think empathy is sadly missing in this world these days. Like people don't grow unless you water them.
That's right.
And when I'm teaching with someone, I have expectations and I'm quite demanding, but always I hope with kindness to make them feel that they are growing when I'm working with them. They're not being told, that's not enough, you're not this, you're not that. I'll find that one thing in that person to go, I see what your instincts are there. Yes, let's try this. And so that they feel bigger when they've finished. And I just think empathy generally in this world it's not on the list of important things for many people or governments.
Yeah, that's so important though. You strike me as someone that's real determined and has a real strong through line, at achieving things. Quite an achiever. Do you think you're quite an achiever?
Yeah, but I don't do it for the achievement, if you know what I mean. Yes, definitely. I go, and it's, as I said, it's always from a place of that's right for me. That's right for me, and I have to follow it. So I pay attention to that. So that happened with learning Te Reo Maori. That happened with doing intimacy work. Same thing. When I felt it, I went, have to do this. Now that's setting myself on a huge amount of learning work, like a whole other kind of career thing, which I didn't plan to do in my 50s. But it feels so right. So I'm a great believer in your instincts leading you in the way. So I can't say I've planned my career. Have you ever planned? I don't know how anyone plans a career. Yeah. How did you plan your career? Well, it kind of just happened. But I suppose the things that I've held on to is what I said before. One of them is I always work with great people on great projects. Wherever that is, however that is, I don't know how that's going to happen. And I've also said I'm never out of work, just quietly to myself. Don't say it every day or anything, but I'm open to learning, and I'm open to change, and I'm open to new experiences. So, darling Aroha sent me this, just back to the film briefly. He sent me an email because we'd only done theatre together, and he said, hey, I'm thinking you'd be really good. Would you think about directing my short film? And I literally wrote back and went, hey, Aroha, did you mean this email to go to me, or was it another Jennifer? And he wrote back, no, it's you. And I went, I've never directed films. He goes, yeah, I think you'd be really good. And first I went, stick to my knitting. No. And then, so I love that. And my friends who, also see something. And, when you see something in somebody else, it's really nice. And then Michael went, no, you can do this, I'll be here to help you. And I went, okay, I guess I'm directing a short film.
Oh, good on you, Jennifer.
Yeah, it took me till, late 50s to do it, but hey.
Yeah. Do you as a person, are you normally generally so positive all the time? Or is it a bit of work? You strike me as a very positive person.
I'm very excited about my work. Yeah. I'm very passionate about my work. So I think I'm generally a positive person. Yeah.
Do you ever have moments where you go through like lulls where you find it hard?
I don't go into. I think the only sort of dangerous zones for me are working too hard, where I'm trying to fit everything in and not let anybody down. So I think that trying to be everything to everybody can be very exhausting.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, and I have to, and then when people say, look, well, why did you take on? And go, well, look, there's no one else doing it. I've got a responsibility to these actors. I want to keep, I think it comes from a good place, but I probably have to be careful about
overcommitting.
Yeah, overcommitting and
saying yes
feeling
to
like
everything?
like I hate keeping people waiting, so I'm quite responsive. Even if I've left something for 3 days on an email, I'm like, oh, sorry, this is late. I realised there was a while there where I'd finished one thing, excuse me, and then the very next morning I'm on a plane going somewhere else, and then I finished that, and then I'm on somewhere else, and then I'm on somewhere else. And I realised I was actually getting none of the joy of experiencing the joy of having and celebrating the thing that I'd just finished. Everyone else go, hey, we're going off to the X party and you're going to come. And I go, yeah, but I can only stay an hour because I've got to get up at 6 o'clock. I was like, wah. And I go, why didn't you just say you weren't available the next day? So I'm getting a little bit better of that. But like I said, how do you organise this career, Michael?
You don't.
When you don't know what's coming up.
Yeah.
And what about when wet weather cover happens in a film? And the day that you put aside has now another day, but on that day you've got 3 things.
Yeah. You juggle.
Exactly. So I think probably I've got better at going, okay, just chip it off one by one. Who could do this? Can you shift that? Can you do that? Can you do that? I mean, what else can you do? So I do really like being at home with my cats because I'm out quite a lot, I'm out in the world quite a lot.
Your boys have their own flats now? They don't live with you?
No, the boys, Cameron's just actually moved home yesterday just for 1 week between flats. But yeah, so my stepmother, Michael and me are all together in one house and 2 cats. And home is really important to me. I love it. It's sort of where I get my, it's my pick-me-up. Yeah.
I know what you mean about getting too busy.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it as well. I get overcommit and schedule too much stuff in.
Yeah, and also because things are exciting sometimes. You don't want to turn them down. Like if someone says, hey, can you work on this? And the cope-up is really great.
Yeah.
Like I went down to, I was teaching in Tauranga and then I got a call, we need some intimacy coordinating, and I went, okay, well I could come after Tauranga, I'll drive across to Rotorua and I'll do that thing, and if you can put me up for that night, and then I'll drive back to Auckland the next day so that I can do this. And I did it, but I was really
pushing it.
I was pushing it, but I was excited about the cope-up. I don't know how to I don't know how to balance that.
Yeah.
So how does it? What do you do?
I try and take on less.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but what about if it's just a great opportunity?
I talk to my wife.
Yeah. and you make it work somehow.
I talk to my wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even if like all my work travel and stuff, I'll make sure that I talk to her first so that we can figure out what's happening that week, what she's doing, what she's scheduled to do, what's going on with the kids, who's got events coming up that one of us needs to be present at.
Because you've got your parent teachers, you've got your sports events, you've got all of the things that the children need to.
Trainings they have.
Or the the book week at school and they've got to get a costume, the shared lunch. I get it.
Figure that out first, and then once we figure that out, and then I'll look at flights of like how my week works out around that, and then make it work.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I was finding I was just getting too run down, and this was before lockdown. So lockdown in a way was sort of a relief for me because I was on the road a lot, traveling a lot.
I loved it.
Yeah, in a weird way, it was good. It was really good for our family. It was it was a chance to really be with our kids, because normally it's so hectic, and then we put them and we have them. They're in bed by 8:30, 9, lights out. And then I'm gone at like 4 or 5 in the morning every morning.
Wow. For training?
Normally it's either for training
or doing your real estate licensing.
At the moment it's study from like 4 to 6 a.m. I'm at the kitchen table studying. 6 a.m. I'm in the shower. 6:30 I'm out of the house, gone.
Is anyone up by that point, Little Lee?
No. I do everything real quiet. I get really good at doing things quiet.
Of course, yes.
My wife is the opposite. She has to get up for like an early morning shoot. It's terrible.
Everybody
Lights
knows
on,
about it.
everything.
Everybody knows about it.
You see my hair straightener? I do this every morning. I do it so quietly. I tiptoe around everything. I pull the belt out from the rack so that the thing doesn't clink on the...
Aww.
But
that's so nice.
The moment she has like an early morning shoot, man.
Everyone's got to know about
chaos.
it. That's funny.
But yeah, we make it work. It all works because we work.
Yeah.
It wouldn't work if we didn't work, if we didn't communicate, if we didn't have that clear thing with each other.
Yeah.
Then all the chaos couldn't fly around us.
And also you want each other to have great opportunities, don't you?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. She's been on a writing workshop for the last few weeks. She's about to write her first short film. This is asking so many questions about it. Yeah, she's in the process of looking for director and producer, I think. I think she's got a director, looking for a producer now. But that's invaluable because she has to grow. You know what I mean? Like I'm not just going to say
Yeah. But we had this conversation where one of us wants to take on something. It's got to be one of three things. It's artistically going to be really, really satisfying. It's going to maybe make you some money, and perhaps you're working with great people. 2 of those things you need, I reckon. 2 of the 3. And sometimes it's only the great people and artistically satisfying.
That's more often than not the case.
Fuck all money. Yeah, but so we have this thing like, is it your heart's desire? Like you really want to do this? It's important to you? And the moment they say yes, you're like, fine, we'll make it work. So it means that the other person perhaps is having to pick up more than
But you know that
usual.
it's going to flip around later on.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll have to pick up.
Is it really important to you? Like really,
we'll make it
for your creative soul? We'll do it.
Yeah, we have the same thing.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, especially with 2 actors.
Yeah. And especially like keeping our souls balanced when there's children involved.
Yeah.
Because if you don't look after yourself.
Quite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see mum and dad not getting bitter because they're unfulfilled in some way.
So I'm very lucky, I think, to have found a great partner.
Yeah, I'm so pleased to hear that. Lovely Nora, who I got to work with, of course, many years ago in our play.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think we've covered heaps, hey?
We have, unless there's other things you want to cover.
No. No, anything you want to cover?
No. I've talked about everything I wanted to talk about with
Okay.
you. I've really enjoyed having you over.
Me too.
I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Oh, have you?
You were actually my first pakeha guest as well.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Kia ora.
Yeah. I never set the podcast out to be like that at all. It just happened to be like the people that I knew were the closest around my community. And I started getting people asking me, like, is this a brown only podcast? And I was like, no, it's not. But then I realized I haven't actually had any other guests on it. But so fitting
Yeah.
that you I've always, both me and Nora have always had so much respect for you. And, yeah, because you're a genuine person. Yeah, this is my garage. This is a garage in South Auckland. See, that's why I like it. Like this, we're not in the studio. Yeah. Unless you're in the lounge and then the windows actually shake.
Really?
Yeah.
With the loud music?
The bass. Sometimes
Whoa.
when the basses go past, you hear the windows actually shaking in the frames. But that's why I preferred having it in a garage than
No, I
having
like
in
it.
a studio or having it too closed off.
Yeah. It's
So
a
you have
lovely idea,
different-
and you're very good to talk to.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you've got a good natural ability with this, Michael.
Thank you. Well, see, like, it's just like what you said before about, ticking those two of those three things. Like, this is something where I get to be with people like yourself. But every guest that sits there to me is great. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
everyone's got such a great story. They've got something about them. I have people sit down there and just before we start, they say, I really got nothing to say, eh? And I'm like, cool, that's cool. Then I start talking to them and it just comes out.
Yeah. And I learned a lot about you today.
It's true.
Yeah, that I never knew. Because you sort of meet in these fleeting things.
That's
and
so
then
true. Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Best
Cheers.
of luck to you, your family, your career.
Thank you. And to you too, my dear.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, Garage Drinks with Mike.